let's be real for a second. This fight isn't just a maybe, it's coming sooner or later. Islam Makhachev is gonna move up, and when he does, the man waiting for him and sitting upon the throne of the 170-pound division will be Jack Della Maddalena. And look, I know a lot of people are already counting Jack Della out. They think Islam Makhachev's gonna go out there and ragdoll him, smother him, and break him like he's done to so many others. But that's where they're wrong. This fight isn't just gonna be your regular schmegular super fight matchup. It's the kind of fight that strips everything down. No hype, no aura, just two men across from each other inside of the octagon, with one trying to rise above his weight class, and the other trying to prove that size, skill, as well as savagery still matter. And what if I told you that this might actually be the toughest fight of Islam Makhachev's entire career? Would you believe me? And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 3,000 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you, and make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look. This potential matchup between Jack Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev ain't just this fantastical super fight, it's almost an inevitability. And, you know, it's the kind of clash that almost feels like it has to happen if legacy matters. But more importantly, this fight isn't the mismatch that a lot of fans on social media are pointing it out to be. In fact, it might be the single hardest, most dangerous test of Islam Makhachev's entire career. And you see, this isn't a featherweight moving up like an Alexander the Great. This ain't a lightweight with patchy takedown defense like a Dustin the Diamond. This is the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, Jack Della Maddalena. A much bigger, stronger, more versatile striker who has quietly been building one of the most complete resumes in MMA today. And look, a lot of people tend to project Islam Makhachev's dominance through the lens of Khabib Nurmagomedov's run. But when you honestly sit to think about it, that comparison does him both a service as well as disservice. And look, don't get it twisted. Islam Makhachev's elite, no doubt about it, but he's had far more competitive fights than Khabib ever did. I mean, we're talking about Alexander the Great Volkanovski, and in their first meeting, it took him to an absolute edge. Life or death, basically, and arguably won in some of the fans' eyes. And then there's Dustin the Diamond Poirier, and despite getting submitted or whatnot, defended several takedowns and landed on Islam Makhachev clean multiple times. These fights weren't blowouts, they were back and forth contentious battles, and now, for the first time ever, Islam Makhachev is staring at an opponent who isn't undersized, who isn't going to be giving up things like, reach, height, or even strength. Jack Della Maddalena is the first opponent Islam Makhachev might face where he is the one with the physical disadvantage. And, Islam's always talking about, these featherweights not knowing what they're up against going up a division. Making it a whole big deal about them being small and him being bigger than them. Now, the script flips upside itself. And will he feel that difference when standing across a full-fledged welterweight? That's the big question here. And when you look at this on paper, Jack Della isn't just bigger. I mean, he's very much methodical in a way, honestly. He's dangerous in a way that Islam Makhachev hasn't dealt with before. I mean, his boxing's beyond elite, not just in terms of things like just power, but also things like, timing, accuracy, as well as variety. He goes to the body, works the jab, rips the combinations, and doesn't panic when in the pocket. He's not like a Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx, who will play those Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu games with you off of his back. Jack Della's gonna get up, and he's gonna scramble immediately, and he's not gonna concede position. And nobody, and I mean nobody, has been able to hold down Jack Della Maddalena for an entire full round, whether it be Bilal Muhammad or even Gilbert Dorinho Burns. And yes, while Islam Makhachev does have more sophisticated takedown setups than a, Gilbert Dorinho or a Bilal Remember the Eyeball, I think the same principle applies. And, the question isn't can he get the takedown, it's more of can he keep the takedown. And against a bigger, more stronger, scrambling welterweight with elite cardio, that's a different puzzle than Islam Makhachev has ever had to solve. But then again, Islam's path to victory is still clear as day. I mean, he's got the deepest Duffy when it comes to getting the fight to the ground. And, his timing on the single legs, his control in the clinch, as well as his submission game, especially when his opponents are starting to fatigue, are quite literally second to none. And of course, I'll give credit where credit's due. And his strength in the grappling exchanges are extremely elite. I mean, he did grow up wrestling at the highest of levels with the infamous Daggy inbred crew. And he can flow from transition to transition without losing position. But then again, this isn't lightweight anymore. And so the real question here is, how much of a strength advantage is he going to bring with him from the lightweight division to welterweight? I mean, grappling a featherweight like an Alexander the Great and grappling a natural welterweight like a Jack Della Maddalena are two completely different experiences. Jack Della Maddalena is beyond capable of stuffing takedowns. I mean, we've seen it before. And then if, you take him down, Jack Della is always going to be working and always going to be building himself up back to his feet. And all of that does apply to a fight with Islam Makhachev. And then there are the intangibles. Like, I'm telling y'all right now, Jack Della Maddalena has no fear in his heart for a fight like this. Like, I'm talking about zero intimidation badges and no psychological edges will exist here for Islam Makhachev. And, that aura that these daggies like Habib as well as Islam often walk in with, that mystique and that fear and that intimidation, Jack Della is just not buying into stuff like that. I mean, he's not wide-eyed, he's not going to be overwhelmed, and he's going to see Islam Makhachev as just another man standing across from him inside of that octagon. And, that mindset alone makes this fight so much more dangerous for someone like Islam Makhachev. Because, I mean, when you aren't afraid, you aren't likely, or you're a lot less likely to hesitate. You don't break when things get gritty. And Jack Della Maddalena doesn't just survive adversity, he quite literally thrives in it. But if and when this fight happens, then it won't just be a walk in a park for either man involved. And I believe that this is going to be a war of attrition, of skill, as well as will. And make no mistake, if Islam Makhachev wins this fight against Jack Della Maddalena, then it'll quite literally be the most hard-earned win of his career, and he'll absolutely deserve all the credit for it. But if Jack Della Maddalena is able to get the job done against Islam Makhachev, then it won't just be a shock, to me at least, but it'll be the result of a well-rounded, fearless, big air champion putting together a performance of a lifetime. But either way, this fight isn't about proving who's perfect. It's about who can survive when perfection breaks down. And when the dust settles, we'll maybe finally see that Islam Makhachev, while great, is not untouchable. He never was, and Jack Della Maddalena might be the man to remind the world of that. But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below what your guys' inner thoughts and deeper thoughts on a fight between Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena. And if you were to crown a victor, who would it be? Islam Makhachev or the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, Jack Della Maddalena? Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.